Chairman, and of course, thank all the witnesses for joining us today to discuss this crucial and timely topic. I represent a working class district, a majority Latino community in Chicagoland. Most of my constituents are renters who have been suffering from rising rent costs. Over the last 5 years, rents have increased by almost 40% nationally, outpacing wage increases. Nearly half of renters and over 80% of extremely low-income renters pay more than 30% of their income toward rent. And this crisis will only get worse if Congress does not act to address it. There are many reasons for the housing affordability crisis. I want to zoom in on one big one that doesn't get enough attention: corporate greed. I recently led a letter asking the FTC and the DOJ to investigate RealPage for anti-competitive practices. RealPage is a multinational company that provides landlords with rent-setting software. It advertises that its customers, quote, outperform the market by 3 to 7%, end of quote. And in some cases, recommends its clients accept lower occupancy rates in order to raise rents and make more money. Mr. Mitchell, can you tell us a bit about RealPage and its rent-setting software, YieldStar?
Absolutely. So as you mentioned, this is a real estate tech company that created a proprietary software called YieldStar. It takes rental market data from various firms, it inputs it into this model, and then it spits out pricing strategies. I think what's most alarming here, and what's the reason that RealPage is now under a DOJ investigation, is that this software is possibly facilitating collusion in the rental market amongst landlords who, in theory, are supposed to be competitors. And this only exacerbates what's already a gross imbalance of power between landlord and a renter. And so I think the other important thing here to know about RealPage is that it acquired its own major competitor back in 2017 in this space, giving it a lot of market concentration and further exacerbating the range of landlords that are using this software in any given locality.
Yes, thank you. And what impact do you think RealPage is having on the rental market, and what do you believe that lawmakers should do in response, if anything?
Absolutely. I think you've lifted up some of the important things here. You know, it eliminates the interaction between landlord and tenant. It takes, so to speak, the pricing decision off-site. It encourages landlords to prioritize high rents and profits over, say, reduced turnover or renter stability. And you know, in certain instances, as you mentioned, it's taking unit stock offline to achieve higher profits. And in these instances, I think it's absolutely imperative that the relevant regulatory bodies are investigating to make sure that antitrust laws, profiteering laws are being adhered to, and renters they aren't at the mercy of colluding landlords.
And RealPage, I want to add, is owned by a private equity firm, and many RealPage's clients are backed by private equity firms. What impact is private equity having on housing affordability, and what could Congress do about it?
Absolutely. So I think there's a few directions we can go here. First and foremost, when we talk about who owns rental property in this country, we oftentimes think of mom and pop landlords. And while that is true, and when we think of the actual properties, if we look about units, we're seeing that institutional investors own a growing and now a majority share. In 2015, it was about 50-50 in terms of units between individual investors and institutional investors. In 2021, latest data that we have, it's actually about 2/3 now institutional investors. And as that becomes the case, I think this supercharges trends that we've seen over the last few years in terms of a continued shift in a heightened prioritization of profits and shareholder return. And you know, we can see this dynamic in the earnings calls where large corporate landlords, many of them backed by private equity, are laser focused on taking every penny possible from renters and driving returns with no regard for the broader health or the stability in the broader rental market. So I think that's really important to focus and understand.
Thank you so much. I wanted to just acknowledge and thank the presence of Ms. Edie. Thank you for your powerful testimony and for being with us today. Homeless service providers are on the front lines of ensuring that people receive support when they need it. these providers are often overworked, underpaid, and understaffed, which means that sometimes people don't get the help that they need. And your testimony here compels us to really think about what kind of services should be provided and funded. Thank you. Mr. Chairman, yield back.
The gentleman's time has expired. The gentlewoman from Michigan.